Hey folks, it's the Red, and welcome back to the Banjo Kazooie Grunty's Revenge Blind Run. The final part, in fact. Once again with post-game commentary because I did not record my original voice with the video. So, this is what was going on in my mind at the time. We are entering Grunty's lair and we're about to take on Grunty herself. Thank you, Klungo, that's fantastic! To stop the bear, my plans are drastic! If this won't work, you know what to do. 'Cause I'll be counting on Plan 2. So she's discussing the plan out loud with Klungo while we're standing here. Wouldn't be the first time they've done that. Anyway, here's the first part of the fight. It's pretty much just like the one at Breagull Beach. She goes charging at you and then 3 times and then stops to laugh at you, giving you a chance to attack. So at first I thought this fight was going to be a piece of cake because of it. She started to close in a bit on me, but I still managed to get by. I wasn't ready for this electric attack though. I'm pretty sure she did that at Breagull Beach as well. But I did manage to sneak a couple more hits in. This fight can kind of drag out because of this kind of long attack pattern of hers, and there's such a long period in which you can't hurt her. And I wasn't ready for that, and I paid for it. And so, having lost the fight, that kicks me all the way back to the entrance of Spiral Rise. But before going back up there, I remembered that I have some honeycomb heart pieces to exchange. Looks like you're ready for me to give you an extension! Innuendo! Alright, so with that bit of business out of the way, and now that we have a 7-point life bar, hopefully we can survive against Grunty a little longer. But this means that I now have to go all the way back to the button switch with the ice eggs so that I can get back up there. I'm leaving this part in just this once to give you an idea of how long it took me on average to get back into Grunty's lair. Because every time I lose this fight, I have to do this fire bit all over again. And it gets really annoying, let me tell ya. Especially when I'm getting knocked off and then can't get back up and then the fire respawns. And yes, that will happen. And once again, I'm still going up there the hard way. By trying to jump on this King Jingling head. As you can see, the fire is already respawned there. And I'm running out of ice eggs, so probably after this run I will end up going back to one of the past stages to refill my ice eggs, but I'm trying to save ice eggs by jumping over the fire. But not without taking damage first. There's just no way past that fire without getting hit. And then the whiplash went in on the action as well, so yeah. I only had just enough time to get up there. Even though I had already taken 3 hits, I thought it might have been a good idea to go fight her anyway. Because frankly, I didn't feel like doing that fire thing again. Anyway, I decided to jump cut back to where I was to see if I do any better. Grunty comes dropping in, we get another hit, and now we have to do it 4 more times for this phase. This fight can kind of drag out because of all the phases involved, but it isn't too bad because most of the attacks are pretty easy to dodge, especially this next one. Grunty flies up into the air and starts bombing the field randomly. She doesn't really aim for you or anything. So if you just sort of hang to the bottom or the top of the screen, like I didn't do right there, then you could avoid all of her attacks. I was a little stunned by this. More so for the fact that I had to do the fire again, and I would have to do the fire again every time to refight Grunty. Keep that in mind every time we do a jump cut. Anyway, she bombs the field again. We got another hit in. Here's where I thought to go to the top and the bottom of the screen, and since she doesn't bomb this area, it's a safe place to go. Sure, it's kind of cheesing the fight, but really it's her fault for having such an easy attack pattern. Anyway, 9 hits and that takes down Grunty's first phase.
Don't think you've beaten me so quick. I have a plan. I'm not so thick.
So she flies upward, and some all too familiar music starts playing. That's right, it is trivia time. Stepping on this question pad, Banjo is asked a series of questions related to the game, like always, except this time you might also be asked to play a mini-game. One of the 12 in the game. Just get enough questions right and you can move on. We're going to lead this thing off with a minigame. It's the slide from the first... It's Cliff Farm's slide minigame. Collect the 12 eggs. But I've learned this mechanic all too well by this point, so this isn't going to be too hard. No problem. Certainly a lot better than my first time going into that. And this is the sound of Mumbo Jumbo. We got 2 out of 3 correct, so onward we will go. The second phase, we go up against Klungo again. And once again, his attack pattern is very similar to the previous versions of Klungo. He'll throw a few beakers at me and then go invisible. And then we have to hit him while he's invisible. Yeah, these fights haven't really changed much, which is unfortunate. But then he mixes it up by having these new enemy types pop in during the fight. These require me to bust out the Brigo cannon, and then we have to shoot the proper egg at them. This part, without fail, slips me up so much, because I have to A, determine which ghost type has come out, and B, determine which egg I need to shoot at them. And it's really irritating. I cannot do this without getting hit. You'd have to be like... Basically, I have to just kind of have the gun out and then hope I have the right egg type out, otherwise it's just not going to work out. Anyway, jump cutting back. Here we face Klungo again, and immediately take a beaker to the face. Oi! This time having the Brigo blaster out early, and I happen to have the ice eggs out, so dealing with them was no problem. But I wasn't quite ready to dodge those beakers. I lucked out a bit during this part because he didn't switch up the ghosts on me, and so I was okay to stay with ice eggs. Running around, dodging beakers, waiting for his shield to go down, and roll him! Klungo must stop bear, and bird there! Hear Mistress Grunty calling. I think he was a little conflicted there. He wasn't sure whether to stop me or to go see Grunty. Regardless, onward to more trivia. This time we need 5 out of 9. That's the sound of a hello honeycomb. We know those to be gold feathers. We've heard those a few times just outside. They're ice eggs. And we should be all too familiar with that tune. Why, it's Spiral Mountain, of course. Looks like you're ready for me to give you an extension to your score bar. Anyway, yeah, the trivia this time around is pretty easy. Certainly more so than the first 2 games, so it shouldn't be bad.
The time has come to end this game. The future cannot be the same. To your destruction, you both race. Of bear and bird, I'll leave no trace. My victory will be most splendid when I rule all and your life's ended.
During all this time, we could be attacking her. But I guess that would be a bit classy. Anyway, her big attack strategy? To do the exact same thing she did before. Only this time, a ghost pops out every time we hit her machine. Roll into the ghost to damage her. 12 hits for this phase. But really, Grunty, you couldn't change up your strategy even for this climactic final battle? Oh, but that part's different. She's trying to stomp on us, like that. This part is a little... She gets to be a bit spastic here, and it's a little difficult to avoid her attack. But here's where things are starting to cut it close. I do have a hard time dodging that attack. So I wanted to make absolutely sure I hit the ghost after that. But now with only one hit point left, I have to start playing a bit cautiously as I'm reading into her attack patterns. But it looks like more laser dodging. And that was too close. Anyway, I predicted that since she's doing these attacks in twos, yeah, more lasers. So, left, right, and watch out for the stomp. It's a long fight, sure, but if you know what you're doing, it's no problem. But now I had to be prepared for anything. And I have to be really cautious, as I am only got 1 point of life during this fight. During this phase, she seems to be just randomly bombing the ground, so I was just looking for any safe spot I could. The corner, the very side of the castle seemed alright. Oh no, I felt like I was doing pretty good, but then came this homing shot. I was running away frantically, hoping it wouldn't catch up to me while I was turning. I knew she was going to do it again, so I busted out the Talon Trot, which was a good idea. It put more distance between me and the shot. And it lasted longer too, so that's a double plus. After hitting the robot again, it explodes, and now there's just the ghost.
Although you've smashed my mecha suit, don't think you've given me the boot. Now I've trapped you on my tower. I'll crush you with my ghostly power.
And crush she shall, because she splits herself into 3. I'm not sure which one to attack, so I just guess and pay for it. All that progress lost. I'm not going to hit A for a minute, because I was stunned by the fact that that had happened. I had no clue which Grunty to hit. And so, it was back to start. I had to get back into the tower. I had to do the first 2 phases again, and the trivia. And speaking of trivia, I would often be given this minigame, which I may remind you I never figured out how to play properly. But as it turns out, to tell a fish from a crab apart, all you have to do is go for the shadows that kind of slow down a bit. Do not go for the ones that go at a steady pace, because those are always a crab. I never figured that out, and so I just avoided playing that game altogether whenever it popped up in the roulette. I was like, no, I'm not going to play your stupid trivia game. Your trivia minigame. Because it's cheap. Anyway, eventually I made it back to the ghosts, but this time my plan was to try and hit them with eggs, but then as it turned out, the eggs were doing nothing to the ghosts. I couldn't quite figure out why that was, and so I was trying whatever I could to try and damage her. I figured since the ice eggs and blue eggs didn't work, none of the egg types would work, so I was looking for any possible answer. Then I noticed one of those ghosts was moving faster than the others, so I'll try attacking it. And sure enough, she took damage. So let's try doing that again. That one looked different, so boom! And that's the end of the fight.
Ah, this can't be! My plans are ruined! It's all Banjo and Kazooie's doing!
Yes, indeed it is. And she's going to start flying all over the screen. Apparently she keeps some water in the 3rd to top floor.
Uh-huh.
Well, Kazooie, it looks like we managed to foil Grunty's plans just in time. Now that she's defeated, we can finally get Mumbo to send us home. We shouldn't hang around. You never know what Gruntilda's planning next. And so we are auto-walking out of the tower. Grunty returns to the present time under the rock where her body is. Why she went here, I'm not sure.
Why are my henchmen fools and twits? That Mecha Grunty just fell to bits. Klungo, get here now, be quick. This defeat makes me feel sick.
I like how her head is still the Mecha Grunty suit head.
Listen, Klungo, save your shoulder. You'll never shift this massive boulder. If you insist on getting blisters, first send a message to my sisters,
so that the events of Banjo Tooie can take place. And auto-walking off to Spiral Mountain, where we'll find Mumbo's pad for some reason. Baron Bird did pretty good job, but would have never done it without help from Mumbo. Yes, Mumbo always wants his credit. Klungo lucky Gruntilda stuck under rock, which can't beat henchman with mecha scraps. And so we jump on the Simon board, and Mumbo's going to cast a spell, presumably sending us back to the present. Mumbo hopes spell was right. Can't remember if spellbook said, "Go come, you come," or "You come, go come." You come, go come, you come, go come. And here we are back in the present. Again, and again, and again. Looks like Hut Boy didn't get that last spell quite right. I'm Banjo! Huh? And that is the end of the game. We did a good job and a rank of 1 Jiggy out of 5. Which I guess isn't good, but you know what? I beat the game. I got everything I wanted out of it, so I'll take my 1 Jiggy. I'm fine with that. I'm not trying to be some hotshot here who says he's got a 5 Jiggy rank in a Game Boy Advance game that many people haven't even played. Anyway, we're now looking at the end credits, which is quite interesting because while you are watching all the names go by, you can also play this minigame in the background, which is just another variant of the slide minigame. But here is where you'll collect the gold coins, which lets you play the arcade machine back at Spiller's Harbor. And looking back on it, the arcade machine back in Spiller's Harbor basically is just a collection of all the minigames you've played throughout the game. You just need these gold coins to pay for them. And once you've bought a minigame, you can play it as much as you want. So if you really like that sheep collecting game, or those bobsleds where you're shooting snowballs at the mice, well, you can buy those and play them to your heart's content using these gold coins. But yeah, that's all there is to Banjo Kazooie Grunty's Revenge. Overall, it was pretty good. It was pretty enjoyable. My main problems with it being that it's just too short, and at several points, particularly during the beginning of the game, just way too easy. But probably my biggest problem with the game is, without question, the perspective. I mean, it's just not working in this game. There are so many points where it seemed like I should have been able to jump somewhere and then I can't go there. You saw it several times throughout the playthrough. The perspective is just weird as heck. But, I mean, it's got all the Banjo-Kazooie charm that you expect from this sort of game. A fan of this series would certainly enjoy it, and I would recommend it to them. If you've already played Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie and are nostalgic for more Banjo action, hey, check this one out. You might like it. If you are willing to forgive its flaws. Overall, I think I would give this game a 6 out of 10. and I will recommend this to the biggest fans of the series. Anyway, we've arrived at the end of the credits, and we're nearing the end of the slide. Now that the word congratulations is up there. Saving the game. And we are back at the title screen. So, that is about the end. THQ, the publisher of this game, because of the deal with Microsoft, Nintendo could not publish this game, in case you were wondering about that. Anyway, that was Banjo Kazooie Grunty's Revenge. This is the Red. See you next game.
Blobelda, I just received a letter from Glungo. Our sister Grunty is trapped under a rock in Spiral Mountain. We have to go help her. Okay, here's the plan. Let's build a giant laser that can suck the life out of living things and then go help Grunty. If we work together, we can be done in 2 years. Will Grunty be okay that long? She'll be fine.